Hello, are you ready? It's not recording.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, let me do the intro real quick.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Vietnam Rising podcast. I'm your host, Minh Tam, and this episode is done virtually as well, as we all should practice social distancing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're not recording from the studios. Please excuse any background noise as I'm currently recording from Saigon Sibling Cafe. And joining with me is my friend Tam. We are going to discuss how things have changed for us during this time, and and we're just gonna catch up how things been going. Hi Tam, how are you doing?
Hello. Hello, Tam as well. There's many thumbs here.
Yes,
Well, we're
we
missing
share the
like
same name.
in our yes, in our group we know like how many? Five thumbs.
Five. Yes, we have five Tam.
You should do an episode where there's like all thumbs on the show.
Oh yeah, that
You
would
know?
be awesome.
And then
Because like, all Tam is
yeah,
now like in the U.S. and
yeah,
somewhere else too, so it's like a global
yeah,
conference.
yeah. I realized like we did not coordinate this, but you do have to talk about it, especially if you post this on YouTube, because like you're wearing yellow, and then the sign in our cafe is yellow, and then
Yes,
I'm wearing red. I realized
yeah,
that's red. The pillows are
yeah,
red.
yeah,
That was all coincidence. And then it's like represents the Vietnam flag,
yeah,
Vietnam Day.
yeah. Red and
Yeah, it
yellow.
just so happened. I was like, yes. Well,
But you
this is the
but you're
Singapore
calling
flag,
it from
but anyway.
Singapore, so it's not from Vietnam. So I'm
I
so
know.
it's
Well,
so the funny thing is
yeah,
like you're the owner of Saigon Siblings in Vietnam, and I'm
yeah,
in the Saigon Sibling Cafe right now,
yeah. It's
and you
cool.
is
It's
not
cool.
here.
That's that's called community,
Yeah.
showing love.
hmm
You know.
Supporting the
Um,
SMEs
yes, yes, which is the backbone of the economy. We'll get into that later.
later.
Yeah, yeah. So are you are we the first episode since the whole COVID? No, you interviewed Charles or talked to
Well,
Charles.
all the episode that I did previously was done in studio before the lockdown,
Okay,
everything. So, yes.
okay.
So this is the first virtual episode that I'm doing right
Ooh,
now. So
okay.
you're the
The
special
first
guest.
virtual. All right, so it should be the line on YouTube or on Apple Podcast. He was like the first virtual
Yes.
of the first episode in the virtual series. So you're probably gonna
Yes.
have a lot.
Uh-huh. Well, hopefully not,
Um,
because hopefully this lockdown. So previously, Vietnam just had the lockdown like 2 days ago. So hopefully
okay.
in the next 2 3 weeks it's gonna back to normal soon. How about you? Like you're living
Yeah.
in Singapore right now. How's things been for you?
Um, yeah, I think it's hard not to like watch the news. So, I mean, the situation here, I think, as of recording today, we're at like 800 cases. I
Whoa, in
mean,
Singapore?
Singapore, yeah, it's
Wow,
800. I could check right now I'm subscribed to the WhatsApp, the government WhatsApp.
that's crazy.
What are
Cause
we
like
at?
I thought last week was only like about 300.
We are
Now it's
as
just
of
800.
as of 10:20 last night, we were at 802 total cases.
Mm,
You know, remaining in the hospital there was 420, but they just give you the total so far, right? But doesn't the active case is 420 if you do it like that. So so the actual number is 420 in terms of that are in the hospital, but so
mhm,
far 802 cases. So
mhm,
I mean, yeah, of course, relative to the population, which is what, like a little over 5 million, including all the foreigners, it's a pretty high number percentage
mhm.
wise. So
Yeah.
I think the government, just like Vietnam, I don't think there's enough talk about Vietnam though, but I think the governments are doing a really good job, So,
Mhm,
I mean, we're all practicing social distancing, but I'm still going out
mhm,
to like walk around, but I don't walk near people. I try not to, obviously. I try not to take public transport.
mhm,
I'm following the rules. Like if you go out, since I am an owner of F&B as well, I want to support. I buy takeaway or I go and support the small business if I can,
mhm.
But all the seats now. Actually, I just shared an album on Facebook, but I'm collecting all the pictures of like the social distancing. They put an X where you cannot sit. So,
Oh, okay.
but
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. But I still like the young people aren't taking it seriously, right? young
Yeah.
people. I guess you're part of that group, so I'm kind of
Well,
too, you know.
yeah, we were
So,
all in that group where, we're not in the age
yeah,
where it's dangerous to us statistically,
not
and then
as
people are not like
yeah,
reckless with it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So now what's right? I know obviously in Vietnam the government has to crack down, right?
Hmm.
I think about it, all the governments they have to panic because most of them are older people. So they're like, "Damn you young people, you're gonna kill us!" So they're gonna lock down. They gotta protect themselves in the government, right?
Well, yeah,
Maybe you
exactly.
should.
Well, it's always
Yeah.
good, because if we, even where we are young people, then we still have a lot of families and relatives that are like much older, right? So I think it's just a social
Exactly.
responsibility to just make sure that, we don't infect other people. And I think
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
they're saying that like even young people, they still will have very serious effect if they got COVID though. Like their
No,
lungs are
it
like seriously damaged.
yeah, yeah. It's too soon. I still think. I mean, the doctors, man, there's so much information they're trying to collect, right? Every day we're learning more as there's more cases.
Hmm.
But I mean, it is too soon. I mean, there are young people that have died with pre-existing conditions, right? Like
Hmm.
I know there was somebody my age who passed away, 34, who passed away, but he did have cancer before that. He relapsed too. He has asthma like me, right? But
Hmm.
so younger people are dying from this too. So
Yeah.
I don't know how many cases. So we all just need to now. It's gotten a point where serious. I remember like January when it started happening, like right before that. I was on the plane to Bangkok. That it was starting to break out and became a big deal. I remember I was on the plane with my colleagues. We were heading to Bangkok for a workshop, and even then I didn't take it seriously. They were wearing face masks, but at that point nobody on the plane was. We were having a flight. It was January 21st.
Mm.
And then yeah, I remember I was like, okay, calm, like let's calm down. It's like, and at that time too, I was one of those people where the I don't know if you heard the fact or the statistic going around was like, oh yeah, more people die from the flu. Calm the hell down,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was one of those people, again, but you didn't realize that how much more contagious it was, and it was too
Mm.
soon to say anything, and I was foolish too. I'll be honest, I'm not gonna hide because at that time I was like, oh yeah, you guys need to calm down. We were still going out. There was no social distancing. It wasn't really. You didn't hear it then. Not right before that. You
Mhm.
heard a little bit, but
Mhm.
it didn't. People were definitely not taking it as serious as we are right now, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, it was, if it is in January, then it just started to break out like maybe a few weeks before that. So yeah, we clearly don't have enough information how like infectious it
yeah,
is and how dangerous it is.
yeah,
So yeah, like all those
yeah,
assume like assumption is also pretty understandable.
yeah,
Like personally, yeah, I was like I literally asking I was a mutual friend like Fee. I was like, hey, like is it like dangerous? Should I be concerned about it? And he was like, no, like it should not be concerned, even though the fatality rate is quite high, but you shouldn't be concerned at all.
yeah.
But yeah, I think
Hmm.
I think things are changing right now. So how
It
things
is,
are you
and it's
right now for your business?
um, it's tough. I know, as a friend too, and you've probably been hearing like it's it's tough. I mean, I just wrote a post yesterday on my Facebook, about that whole Buddha bar incident.
Hmm.
Uh, I think we all know about that if you're anybody in Saigon, right?
Yes.
And that
So
was,
for
and
the
again, it
audience,
ties,
then the Buddha Bar incident is
yeah,
so the weekend before that happened, like the authority ordered all the bars in Ho Chi Minh City and Saigon has to be closed. But that bar they still open after that order, and it happened to there was a positive case that went there, and then yeah, and then he spread to like 5 or 6 more
yeah,
people
yeah.
right now. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's the Buddha
To
bar incident.
yeah, yeah. To clarify, I know that to clarify, I don't think they had to close at that time yet, but you weren't, or I don't know if they did in District Two. I knew it was District 1, but I knew they were not allowed to have gatherings. But
Well,
the
no, no,
big
no.
issue
So
wasn't that they were
mhm,
open.
mhm,
It's because they threw a party, right? It was the
yeah,
St. Patrick's Day party. They threw
yeah,
a
yeah,
party during this time,
yeah.
and that's what And I bring that up because obviously since then, along with the Hanoi girl, and we don't, again, there's a lot of mixed news, but that kind of caused the second wave, right? Because you remember
Mhm.
Vietnam only had like before that what 20 less than 20 cases.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
it went down to
60. We have
zero because they
60.
treated them.
Yeah, and then we have
Yeah,
like a 20 days of no case, no new case. And then
Yeah.
like since
And
the
then
17 will go up to
boom.
like 170 right now.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up and you're asking about business to bring it back to that is because, last Thursday, Copac, which is where one of our spaces are which is Modern Hustle, which is,
Mhm.
a cafe, bar, event space, which we share with Charles, who you
Mhm.
previously interviewed with Coder School. And yeah, we had to, for now, we just have to close indefinitely
Mhm.
because one of the suspected cases there, people showed up, the government showed up with the hazmat suits, and
Mhm.
everything, and the police
Mhm.
stopped because, one of the suspected cases is a 31-year-old British female who was at the Buddha bar party. So,
Ah.
see, and my
Mhm.
point to share is that the actions of a few affect the many, right? And it's not now to point blame or anything. It's already done, but it is scary. It like who would have thought it led to so many things. Eight confirmed cases now, over 100 people quarantined from that because of that party indirectly.
Mhm.
Like, and all those people going out every day, still meeting other people. They have to trace through the contact tracing, right?
Mhm.
So again, back to the business. Yeah, we were still up until recently. Modern Hustle. We were still, at least for that location, we were still serving customers who still going to the office, right? Because it as of before, it was still okay to be open, but we limited. You have to limit your hours, and of course, we were doing social distancing too. People not sitting near each other, and we were mainly doing delivery takeaway. But right now, we're closed. It is a really tough time, and I know you have other friends in hospitality and food and
Mhm.
beverage, so it's a horrible time to be in because it's like because we are, what are we in the business? You're sitting in our cafe that's very meaningful, the original, the first location. We're in the business of bringing people together, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And right now we're not allowed to be together, so the business is done, right? It's like and we're beyond just we were not we're trying to survive now,
Mhm.
and we do delivery, right? And we
Mhm.
do takeout. But that's never been our focus. We never really push grab food or all this stuff, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of people, everyone, just like us, is trying to jump on that.
Mhm.
But we were always in, I believe, when I started this, first started this with my brother-in-law and my sister, it was about bringing people together. As you know, the place you're sitting in
Mhm.
was
It's
originally my
about the
grandfather's
space.
home.
Mhm.
It's about the space. I turned
Mhm.
that from a dead space into a very lively space. And more
Mhm.
importantly, it was, as you know, we have the 9 rooms upstairs for the homestay. So we were really about bringing people together, right? International people from all over the world. We've welcomed, I think now over 5,000 people in the 3 years of business, in the homestay upstairs. We
Yeah.
have welcomed over 50 countries.
Wow.
I have it all tracked on like booking.com and Airbnb, and like, we have like over 1,000 reviews, 5-star. Like it's an awesome time. We brought people together locally. Obviously, as we get a lot of local young Vietnamese, older Vietnamese, to
Mhm.
everybody. So it is about bringing people together, and
Mhm.
that's why so many people are struggling, right? And
Mhm.
again, since the Buddha Bar incident, the government has to, and I agree, because even if we are struggling, they have to crack down because it's I was listening to I think his name is David Myers. I was listening to another podcast. I'm a big fan of podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the one Masters of Scale by Reid Hoffman, the founder of
Mhm.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and he's was interviewing. I might be wrong. His name's David Myers, the founder of Shake Shack and some others. It's a Union
Okay.
Square hospitality, but he had a really good quote, which I did mention yesterday in my post. Just right now, all of us are like, including the government, I guess the whole world, we are, it's like chemotherapy, which I know you're familiar with for personal reasons, but you have to kill a bit of ourselves now to save ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Chemotherapy, you kill the good cells, right? And to also kill the bad cells.
Mhm.
And it's scary. So for us right now, you already know, we've had to um, cut hours or pretty much close down most of our
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
You're sitting in what's left of it, and as you see, there's
Mhm.
nobody there. We're not allowed to welcome anybody, and we've actually had customers coming still, but we have to be responsible even before that. And also, the government has mandated, and we are definitely going to follow the
Yeah.
law, and also just even if it wasn't the law, but just to make sure we can get over this. But we've had to let people go. We're gonna let
Mhm.
more people go. It's a scary time.
Mhm.
I'm as scared of the virus now as I am of what's going to happen to the economy or is already happening. It's
Yeah.
actually a good time we did this podcast. Yesterday I was going down the elevator here in the building, and I saw I try not to watch news, but they played on the elevator TV. As officially as of yesterday, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, declared us a global recession. We are officially in a global recession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of trade and GDP is down like crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I'm that's
It's
how
it's
business is
it's a
doing. It's not
crazy
great, and it's
mode
probably gonna go.
to be, right? It's a crazy time to be because before your business would focus in growth, right? You focus in like how to get more customer, how to get more expansion,
Yeah,
but then now your focus is how to survive, how to just maintain what's already there just to get through the
yeah,
time. Yeah, and then now you have to
yeah,
evaluate like what is the most important thing that you have to keep, and then what are the other things. Even if it's hard, you have to let go.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's it's now's the time where I guess we're all being tested.
Hmm.
And we all know that you and I sitting here, if we're sitting in a room of like with 100 people, 90 of those people, if they were running a business, won't make it, right? And
Hmm.
I'm probably I don't know, we may or may not make it. We're
Hmm.
doing our best. As I said, we're doing chemotherapy in our own business,
Yes.
and we're trying, but it's tough decisions to make. And so and to add to that, I'm working. I can't even be there. Obviously, literally, there's a travel ban, and we have to let people go remotely and not even being there face to face. It's not a good
Hmm.
feeling.
Hmm.
Ci flew in Brewster in Seattle to be with my mother and father, and
Hmm.
no, we're not there to directly to be a human,
Hmm.
to be compassionate,
Hmm.
to talk to somebody, look at them in the face in person, and during this time. But this is the new norm, um, and I think that's a big part of it too. If I were to segue a bit, like I was talking to some other friends virtually, and we were just, and then I've been doing a lot of calls. So for
Hmm.
my my day job, I to highlight that, before this, I think I was traveling a lot,
Hmm.
like to Thailand, to Vietnam, Hanoi mainly,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, doing a lot of travel for work around the region, working on environmental consulting,
Hmm.
helping to drive a circular economy, which we can talk if we want to highlight. But I was traveling a lot, but now everything, obviously we're not allowed to travel. A lot of our things were canceled, and now some things are completely just canceled. Big conferences, meetings. We're
Hmm.
supposed to have a very big conference with the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program in Da Nang. Of course,
Hmm.
the government, it was supposed to be last week. The government was like, no, so that's delayed indefinitely. And then a lot of our client meetings are now virtually,
Hmm.
um, and we've been having video calls like this,
Hmm.
which brings up a good point.
Hmm.
Everyone thinks that, and I do believe we were moving in that direction, but man, Corona, like COVID-19, has just like accelerated all this now.
Yeah.
And I think this is like, it scares me. And I don't think we have a lot of time to talk about this, and I don't want to bore everyone. But like, it does scare me because I think this is the future. I'm like, a
Hmm.
lot of it's accelerating now,
Hmm.
like, because companies will realize, especially corporations, right? They always are about saving money.
Hmm.
And if they can cost cut. And now that we can do all this without traveling, most of it, is going to be, this is going to be the new norm. We're going to have a lot of meetings like this, even when COVID's done.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number would be, but let's say we're going to see, like, it could be 5%, it could be 30%, but we will see a lot more now, remote working,
Hmm.
distributed teams.
Yeah.
And companies will be like, yo, I don't need to rent an office in downtown Saigon by Texaco for
Uh-huh.
$100 a square meter, or in downtown Singapore for $100 a square meter. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They'll be like, wait a minute, we can all be distributed, or it's just going to be a really small office, and they'll save
Hmm.
money.
Yeah.
What I would hope for is that then if there's cost savings, then it goes to help to pay people more,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
that's probably wishful thinking because corporations, they'll be like, the savings will either go to the C-suite or to
Hmm.
probably the shareholders or
I
whatever.
mean, there's always a saying that like during like hard times like it, especially recessions or like global economy recessions, then it's always an opportunities for things for new business to grow and thrive. And as you can see right now, we're calling from Zoom, which um, from the news, I heard that the stock prices like go so high because now everybody's on Zoom, right? Billions of people are using Zoom right
Yeah,
now. And then I'm sure that there's other like ideas and people that doing it like are trying to get a tap on
yeah,
it. So it's not only just about okay, the economy is slowing down, but then there's also a lot of opportunities for people who could
There
see
is.
it and
That
grab it.
you have a really good attitude. I tend to, as an entrepreneur, people always forget that. We always think we're risk takers. We are to some
Hmm.
level, but we're also like lawyers in a way. Not as bad,
Hmm.
but we are risk mitigators, right? And
Hmm.
so I've been approaching everything with a lot of caution, and I'm concerned, and it's part of my job. But at the same time, you're right. In any crisis, there's opportunity.
Hmm.
That's what you're saying. And of course, a lot of companies are thriving, right? We already know, like Unilever, they're saying a ton of like Lifebuoy, like the hand
Yeah.
soap, right? Hand sanitizer,
Hmm.
the face mask, and all the remote working. Like Amazon is killing it. Anything e-commerce, delivery, right? Deliveroo over here, grab food. I mean, yeah, look, come on, they're killing it. They're doing way better.
Yeah.
So there will be companies, of course, that will capitalize on this.
Hmm.
Um, but it goes back to my concern is, that's all like most of this is tech, right?
Hmm.
And we glorify the hell out of it. Look, and I'm not knocking it. Like people make a ton of money in this space,
Hmm.
but I hate to bring it back to the negative. It's not the negative, but it's just the reality. I'm like, what
Yeah.
about most of the workforce is not in tech. They're not at Google. They're not at Microsoft. They're not at Zoom, right?
Hmm.
They're they're right next to you downstairs. They're the ones at the hotel working front desk before. They're the tour operators taking all of the amazing guests that come into
Yeah.
Vietnam and taking them on tours. All the young college students,
Hmm.
all of that. Like they can't work remotely. There is no job. What
Yes.
about them?
Yes.
You know, like
Hmm.
you and I are lucky enough. Like I'm working remotely now. It's easy for
Hmm.
me. Yeah. And even I'm concerned, right? Are people going to be cutting a lot of budgets? Again, we're entering a recession. Everyone's going to be saving cash, preserving cash.
Hmm.
But if we do that, and that's why governments now you see is a time when there needs to be a good government,
Hmm.
because I don't know how we're going to help all these people.
Hmm.
Um, a few days ago, Singapore, if I could just talk about that real quick, they just launched they called the resilience budget.
Hmm.
They're pumping in like 52 billion
Hmm.
Singapore dollars, which is 30 something billion US.
Hmm.
Again, relative to the US, it's like a tiny, but fraction, but for the economy here, it's quite a bit. And but they're paying directly. I want to highlight this because I think this is what it takes. I'm not a politician, but like they're dumping, not dumping, but they're making sure the money reaches the right people. Like
Hmm.
I've always been concerned about what they're trying to do in the U.S. These damn bailouts always just help these big banks, just like the 2009 financial crisis. Yet
Hmm.
small businesses, so many people suffer. And
Hmm.
like so in Singapore, they will subsidize if you work in food and beverage or
Hmm.
hospitality,
Yeah.
the really impacted industries. They pay 50% of your salary, I think, for
Hmm.
at least the next 3 months. So they will
Hmm.
help the companies to stay afloat. So if you're a business owner here, they will help the salary because they know that we're all struggling. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, Vietnam unfortunately does not have those kind of resources, so
Hmm.
they're gonna have to figure something out. But that was when I saw that, that really touched me because that's really trying to reach. Look, it's an effort to reach the right people to really help
Hmm.
because they're also smart because look, if as a business owner, if I let go of my staff, I'm not paying them, and they're struggling, and all these people are struggling, somebody's gonna have to pay for them,
Hmm.
right? It's going to be a social welfare. It's going to be somebody else anyways. So
Hmm.
why not keep them productive? Why not keep them somewhat working somehow and working together with the small businesses, right? Which is again the backbone of most economies, not the
Hmm.
tech. And
Hmm.
I don't want to knock it. I know your point. Like there's still a lot of opportunity, all this stuff, and even I'm trying to operate more from a place of like, excitement and seeing opportunity instead of
Hmm.
just operating from a place of fear. But
Hmm.
it is, it is scary times ahead.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I agree, and I think for
Yeah.
well, for the past few years, the war has been talking about like the workforce has to be moving up, have to change because AI gonna take over, robots gonna take over, and then I think this is just accelerations for all of that because now because tech gonna be so involved, people that unable to work remotely or cannot find jobs in their field, they have to find some ways for other industry and they need to fill in different skill sets. So I think
Yeah.
in in stress times like this, there will be a few industry that's still gonna like going well, which is one is necessity, like food,
Yeah.
drinks, like right now it's face mask and hand sanitizer, and also what else? Education and medical.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Education, right? That's also a good thing, right? There's been a lot of stuff that should probably have been going online more, but now
yeah,
it's like we were talking earlier.
yeah.
It's now just forced, right? It's just like yo, everyone's moving online classes right now. You have
Hmm.
to. And for the longest time, even in the US, man, they're so behind. The government's so freaking behind.
Yeah.
They should have been doing a lot of this. Like why can't you just, a lot of the voting, a lot of stuff that could just be done so easily online.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, in the past we already did it remotely anyways. You can mail, snail
Yeah.
mail,
Yeah.
literally mail things in. That's the same thing as remote. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's like a lot of stuff. So it's
Yeah, like my
yeah,
siblings' classes, like teachers are trying to do like Zoom class. They would just assign stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, of course, right now because
yeah,
everything's so new, it's not very effective yet. But
yeah,
that's
and
the growing pain because you got to see how difficult it is where until and then you have to find solution around it. And I think that's the beauty of it.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now that's the thing, right? We definitely were not ready for this, and that's what most things in life, right? I wasn't ready for
Yeah.
a lot of stuff too, like you
Mhm.
aren't, and we just get stuff thrown at us. So now we were definitely not ready for any of this. And as you see, the internet, the bandwidth has been total crap lately, right? I'm surprised I could see you so clearly. Everyone's online, Zoom, all these apps, we're all trying to figure it out. It's like
Yeah.
so. A lot of it's like slow. Yeah, we're just figuring everything out now.
Mhm.
So I think I just think, yeah, after, and I hope it's sooner than later when things
Mhm.
return to as normal as can be.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm curious to see like what stays on though. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, maybe the new thing will be like companies will work from home. They'll have
Mhm.
a smaller office, and yeah, they work from home like 3 days a week, 2 days a week. I
Mhm.
don't know. And then
Mhm.
schools will now offer even more online
Yeah.
courses.
Do you
So
think that like people always say that you should always have like a rainy day budget account so that just for emergency like this you should use, but then like usually it said like you should have a 3 months rainy day budget, right? But now like everything has been going so much longer. Do you think that after this, what would we learn from it? What would we um, make sure that we always have cash, or how are things like personally or as business owner? How do you do it?
yeah, I mean, the short answer is of course, like yes, like a big yes. You always should have cash reserves, right? You always heard this saying, like when I was young too, cash is king, right? It's like
Mm,
cash flow makes or break most businesses, not necessarily profitability,
yeah.
because you can be profitable, but if you don't have cash that month, you're screwed. And I've been through that. Like,
Mm,
I've been through a lot as a small business owner, from multiple locations to 40 staff to like much less now. We've been through a lot on our own
mhm,
struggle. And yes, I mean, like now is a good test for everyone. I think we will learn, especially the younger generation, because those that are older, they went through the 2009 financial crisis. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So
yeah.
they're probably more prepared. I would like to think so. That was a big lesson. I mean, a lot of people lost everything.
Mhm,
This time, I don't know what's going to happen. We're just entering it. Europe, America, it's just starting, right? People, you're hearing thousands of layoffs, like our unemployment's supposed to
mm,
hit like 30% or something crazy. I don't.
mhm,
It's a scary number. So if you don't, yeah, if you don't have cash, and that's why I said the government's going to have to step in, and they did. That's why they're trying to pump in money. But the reality is, if you don't get it to the right people, again, it doesn't matter if it's just these damn banks.
yeah.
Who cares? If it just helps this 1%, all this corruption, like making sure that it reaches the people.
Mhm,
Because yeah, most people live paycheck to paycheck, though. That's the
yeah.
issue. So back to your point, yeah, we need to make sure we. I think it's very important going forward to we are preserving cash. I've cut a lot of my own expenses just because
Mhm,
I'm not as cash rich as I was, unfortunately, just because of certain investments. So now I got to be really careful.
mhm.
I've been talking to a lot of friends. Most people have runway, for like at least 3 months, 6 months. That's scary because this thing looks like it could last easily
Like a
longer.
year, yeah.
Again,
6 months,
yeah,
a
that's what
year.
I hear a lot of talk about that. So I am I'm not the most, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. As they say, hoping for the best, expect the worst. But yeah, it doesn't, to
Mhm,
me, I'm seriously concerned. I have a lot of
mhm,
friends in all areas that are doing really well right now still, that are not doing well at all. I see it from A to Z, and it's so that's why I'm like, yeah, I think the best thing you do now is like, again, that's the chemo thing, is just cut a lot of expenses so that these are the hard decisions, but this is the only
mhm,
way. Either save part of it, you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
it sounds very, very like vulgar, but like, sometimes you gotta like chop off your leg or save your whole body, but really, that's what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, save money.
Is
In
anyone
short,
you know right now is doing investing because they already suspecting this is gonna happen and they starting to buy stock since the stock market is like going down?
yeah, of course, yeah. I know a lot of friends have been doing that. I mean, and people, everyone's been doing that for a while, right? But some people have been
Hmm.
shorting oil before they knew oil was going to tank, or now gold's going up. There's a lot of investment areas, and I think, um, I honestly think the bottom hasn't hit yet. And again, you could quote me like 3 months from now, and we could see if I'm wrong or right. But I think right now this is not even the bottom yet because the U.S. hasn't even been hit that hard. The layoffs are only just starting, right? Money's going to dry up, capital cash flow is drying up, so so we're going to see. I think it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
Let's
So.
talk about something more positive then. Tell me.
Yeah.
So this episode is quite
More
quite
positive. Yeah,
dark.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then
everything.
uh-huh,
Yes, yes. So everyone must work out. There's something positive.
yes.
Everyone's staying at home. Well, I think, look, the positive side is I want to say too, we've been through. I think about my parents. Again, my parents. I don't know. I don't think I shared before, but my parents are Bow people, right? They were the refugees. My point of bringing that up is not for sympathy. It's that I was talking to my other friend Kimball, and we were just like, yo, like my parents, I was worried about them. They're in Seattle, which is pretty worse, bad hit.
Hmm.
The worst, and that's where I started, and in the U.S. pretty much. I mean, now New York's worse, but they lived in a refugee camp in Indonesia for 13 months. My sister was born in a refugee camp. They escaped war. They've pirates, robbery, all kinds of stuff. They've seen some really messed up stuff, and this isn't that bad. If you want to talk about being positive, at the
Hmm.
same time, we will get through this as a human, just as a human race. Like I think this is, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
People were poor, lining up and for food. This is nowhere near that bad. I mean, right now, like we have friends, Kevin, many others that are home quarantine, staying home. Like I remember the meme is so funny. It's like if this is what we have to do to save the world, it's not that bad. Like
Yeah.
we have to stay home. Like people
Yeah.
need to calm the hell down. Like it ain't that bad. Like I just been walking around and staying away from crowds for sure,
I
and
mean,
just
it's just that we haven't witnessed something like that in our time yet, and now
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
first time that we
So
ever experienced that.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
But I think it's gonna
exactly.
make
But
us
otherwise,
stronger.
yeah,
Because
of course,
from my
always.
personal experience, so I started working in the business I'm in right now, and it's actually right now my feeling for this pandemic is quite neutral. I'm not very scared of it. I'm not very stressed of it because I've been through worse stress. Because like when I was first starting the business, I was helping out with my family business, and it was going through a really hard time. We almost
Hmm.
go bankrupt. So the first 3 years of me doing business is just try to surviving and just try to make cash flow. Just everything that everybody's doing right now. I already deal with that for a long time. So when this happened
Yeah,
again, I'm just like, okay, I know what I need to do, and I feel like I'm not as stressed, I'm not as scared because I've been through, and I know that stress is where I thrive the most, right? And I feel like that's the
yeah,
most for a lot of people too. When you don't have any other opportunities or you don't have any other options, you will try your best to
yeah,
get through it. And I think that's one thing
yeah,
that people should look into it.
yeah,
Should embrace it, not just to scare it. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a fun time, At the same, like everyone's also online now. It's funny, everyone is reconnecting with each other because you're like,
Yes. So you're
we're
texting
all like
everybody,
talking.
make
Yeah,
sure everybody's.
there's the house
Yeah.
party app.
Hmm.
Everyone's talking to each other more. I feel it's funny. Like we're all supposed to the social distancing.
Hmm.
At the same time, we're all growing closer to each other. Well, at least through the online meetings.
Hmm.
And so that is a positive. The
Hmm.
only thing is, I hope we're all joking with each other. I'm sure you want to too. Like we're all gonna get fat if you just sit at home, and just like unhealthy, order delivery. So
Uh-huh.
I'm encouraging everyone. You want to be positive. I work out every day.
Hmm.
I make sure I meditate every day. Right now,
Hmm.
I meditate every morning. Nothing crazy, just 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. And I don't watch the news all the time because that's super negative.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not good
focus
for
on
you. Don't watch news all the
Uh,
time.
but yeah, but, I make sure like you could just work out at home. I think everyone should do it. It makes you definitely feel better mentally.
Hmm.
I call the people that matter to me every day. I try to,
Hmm.
and then just yeah, make sure you move around. I think that's important. Even in the house, just making sure you move, not just sitting,
Yeah.
doing
Hmm.
like jumping jacks, burpees, all that's like super
Yeah.
helpful.
Do you think that right
Um,
now, because of this, it's not because of this global recessions, right? But because this event is like a health related event, so now a lot of people not, they stop worrying about the money. Well, they still worry about
mhm,
money, but now more things
yeah,
are have higher priority where we usually neglected, right? Health or like family connections or like friends, all this stuff before we used to not appreciate that much, but now because things feel fragile, you appreciate everything more.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. I think this is all making us reflect a lot, right? Everyone
Hmm.
is spending a lot more time at home. But I just hope that we all are just spending time to actually reflect and by ourselves, right? Because it's so now everyone's scared to. We're at home, but we're also we just talked about, right? We're all connected online still. You're like,
Uh-huh.
are you actually alone with your own thoughts?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, or are we at home but online,
Hmm.
connected on the screen? Even I do it, right? I have my screen on with like my sister or my mom and dad for like
Hmm.
hours, and it's important to do that. And then I think we're spending so much time online, so we got to make sure, are we disconnecting?
Mm.
And that's the only thing I wanted to say. That made me remember. You remember before all this thing, like before COVID, we were like talking about how we everything was about like disconnecting and having your Zen mode, not being on your laptop, going out and enjoying nature,
Mm.
and not being on your phones all the time, addicted to our devices. And then bam, COVID hit. It's kind of funny. I feel like at the same time, they made it like now it's back to this, but even amplified, right? Times 1,000. Now we're always online. Like you work from home, so you're on your laptop all day, which I am. And then usually you go drink with your friends or you want to go connect face to face. But now we can only do it also through the screen, right? So now you're on the screen even more, your screen time. So I don't know how I feel about that. You know, like it's even
Well,
more time online
you
to
can
digest
always
you.
read book, and you can always
Yeah,
meditate and not look
yeah,
at the screen.
yeah. We want to socialize, but like the only way to socialize now is like this.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least to be responsible anyway. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Mm.
I don't know.
Tell me a little bit
But yeah,
more about like how did you like when did you start your F&B business?
um, that was end of
The
two.
like the first
Wait, what?
entrepreneur like experience you had, and then Saigon Siblings, because I know you have multiple ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think yeah, everyone close to me growing up like knows you know, I've never been as I mean, I did well in school, but I've always been like a fan of they say like education on the streets, if you will, like a hustler. I
Huh?
mean, I was like, if you talk about entrepreneurship, that started when I was in it started when I was in sixth grade. That's when it all started. Since then, yeah, for sure. I like my best friend Kevin knows too. It's like I used to like going to middle school. On the weekends I would go to church in Chinatown, and then I would buy banh mi. It's like back then it's like a dollar. I remember like $1.25, $1.50. This is in the U.S. in Seattle, and then on Monday the next day, because this is on Sunday. Monday I go to school and bring it to lunch, and I sell it to like all the for lack of a better term, I sell it to all the non-Asian kids, the white and black kids. They love banh mi. They don't know where to get it, and then I would flip it. I would sell it for $2.
Uh-huh.
I'd make 75 cents profit or 50 cents. I sell it for even $3. I still remember. I'd make and some of these kids would pay because they were like, "Damn, this is good banh mi." That's how it started.
But then isn't
And
it
then
gonna be stale? Like it's like a it's
no,
quite
one day,
old.
less than one day, right? Or one day, no, it's just one day. You keep it in the fridge, and that's how
Okay.
it started. And then I moved into I used to like trade and sell basketball cards, baseball cards. These were these
Mm.
cards, man. Probably
Yeah.
nobody does that anymore. Moved into Pokemon cards. So
Yeah.
I used to get into that.
That
I used to
that
flip
does
the
exist in
holographic cards.
Vietnam too.
Yeah, yeah. I used to sell those. I would buy the packs, make sure I try to, and I get lucky. I would just, it's a numbers game, and then I would try to get the good cards, and I would be selling it, flipping it. to all these kids that were really into it. I was not into Pokemon. I didn't give a shit about Pokemon. I just wanted to make money, you know. Early on, I was just hustling and like, and then I moved into. My dad taught me how to build computers and like CD burning. This is way before your time. CDs. We used to use CDs, and we used to have Napster, and I would download music. Obviously, now it's all done with like, which is illegal. Back in the day, I used to burn CDs. So I would put like at that time you buy like blank CDs from like Fry's Electronics, and then you would all the kids in school would give me their playlist, their music list requests, like 10 songs you could fit on a CD, and then I would flip it. I would burn the CD and sell them for $5 a CD, and then I moved into this is kind of all like illegal back in the day. And then I moved into like burning games, you know. So I
Uh-huh.
could modify like PlayStations. I would modify PlayStations. Actually, I didn't even do it myself. I knew
Uh-huh.
other people that did it back in the day, and then we'd modify PlayStations. I hope I don't go to jail for this, but we'd modify PlayStations, and then I would sell. So I would sell that service. I would take a cut, and then I would also burn games for them, you know.
Mm.
And I would sell those for like a $5 to $10 for like Sega Dreamcast, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how what that's what like gave me, you know, it's like they always say when you get a taste of something, it's like that's how it starts. And I started, you know, I started doing that. I started hustling and trading. I did a lot of that. And then along the way I moved into other things, online things, didn't really work out, but just experimenting a lot. You know, it's about experimenting. I think that's key and learning.
Mm-hmm. And then how
And then
come you decided to move to Vietnam though? Like, is it just like,
that was yeah, that was 2000s. I've always knew I wanted to be in Vietnam. You know, everyone that was close to me knew. Like when I first visited, in terms of like an age that I could remember, which was like 14. Every time I visited after that, I knew that I wanted to live in Asia. I was like, this is cool. Like it's just different. You didn't, you know, I wasn't born there, right? And you know, I have roots there. So uh, I I moved there also because you know, my family is very small in the U.S. It's just my brother, sorry, my sister and my dad and mom, and then I moved to Asia. You know, I had my aunts, my uncles, and then my grandmother at the time, and I had my grandfather. But my grandmother, um, you know, she had cancer, so I wanted to also be closer to her, and that was a big part of it. And then it worked out. You know, I went there, and I ended up working for an awesome company at the time, Nielsen, which does market research consulting. But I was planning to only stay like 2 years. My grandmother passed away, and now we're into 12 years later, I'm still here, you know. uh, but so I did, but my first stint in Vietnam in terms of entrepreneurship was, yeah, we opened which is now, you know, we stopped, but called the Bean Store, which was like a soybean concept. We're really early in the game, so that was 2012 if I remember correctly. It feels like a long time ago. And yeah, I did that with my then girlfriend. That was such a cool experience, a lot of learning, and honestly, because it was a first mover concept, yeah, you know, we did really well the first year, and then, you know, continue to open more. Like that was like my first stint in F&B, so it was yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of learning, just a lot of fun. I think
and then
F&B
you
you
just,
heard a lot,
mhm.
like
Why you decide
yeah,
F&B though? Because there are so many space in Vietnam to do, but then you choose a very
yeah,
competitive space to be in.
yeah, yeah, it is. I was just That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Look, there's so many ways to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
To earn money. But I just happen to, you know, F&B is about, it is a lot of it, like, you know, the language of food. It's universal. Anyone can enjoy food, right? Or enjoy a space together. And it's about bringing people together. And I've always been, I think I'm an extrovert. I mean, I'm a mix, right? We all are. It depends on the time, the situation,
Mm-hmm.
but I love bringing people together, and F&B is just it's such cool experience to develop spaces, to
Mm-hmm.
build the brand, try to build a brand and experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, work at something that, yeah, brings people together, and you're gonna work
Mm-hmm.
on new products. I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, is it a space where you're gonna make a ton of money? You can, as obviously, you know, a lot of people still make a ton of money if you can do really well if you know, if you scale, right? Just
Mm.
like tech, you have to
Yeah.
scale. You can't open one location and be like, you know, filthy rich. But if you open 10, you know, Obviously, like Heidi Lau, right? Heidi Lau is an example. The most recent one, that is crazy, right? Over $1 billion valuation, whatever. So you can. It all depends. I've never. I mean, I'm ambitious, but never been like that. And also, things just for our business didn't always. It didn't work out the way we wanted,
Mm.
and that's part of the learning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So would you advise for people that like want to be in F&B, especially in Vietnam, like you would say if you just plan to be in, like a small SME business, then you shouldn't do it, and you should choose some other space, or
I I mean, it's I never want to stop because people try to stop me, right?
mm,
I never want to stop anyone from trying anything
mm,
because we want to encourage, because entrepreneurs are the people that are willing to take risks to keep the economy going,
mm,
right? You need people to constantly develop and change and disrupt things in every way possible. Everyone is contributing. So I think, though F&B, especially in Saigon, though, what I realized was at least a lot of the space I moved into, for most people that I knew, F&B, it was like a side business,
mm,
you know, and people, other people, you're basically competing with people with a lot of resources. Maybe they do, they have a tech company and they've done really well, and then they want to open a bar restaurant. They could put in like $100,000, 200, and not expect a profit right away, and it's still okay. And when you're competing with somebody who has, in a way, infinite funds, that's hard to compete with, right?
mm,
The business I was in, that was our business, right? We were
mm.
living off that. We were trying to, and so when you have to rely on it that way, it's much tougher, and then you can't grow the same way because you just, again, we don't have the same cash.
Mm.
So in
But then
short,
like
what I want to say is
mm. Well, continue,
go
finish.
ahead. Oh, back to your question was, I wanted to say you can get into it, but everyone needs to look at, like, I don't believe in glorifying entrepreneurship too at the same time, though. I think you need to be realistic. And everyone's like, yo, follow your dreams, blah, blah, blah. Like, do whatever that makes you happy. Like, no, bullshit. Like, we're, unfortunately, and this is not to sound negative, but not everyone was born the same way, right?
Hmm.
Not everyone's born with the same resources. And you have to balance that and find what will work for you and your family. Like, if you were to, if you got like kids to feed, and you decide to quit your job and do entrepreneurship, and you have like 6 months of cash, like, that's just foolish, right? Like,
Mm.
no, you shouldn't do that. You need to take a calculated risk. You need to really make sure that it's so that's what I mean. Like, you need to assess your situation. So the way we glorify entrepreneurship now and all the successes is very dangerous because it encourages so much, but people need to look at their own situation, not let it limit them, but they really got to be realistic, and then try,
Yeah.
That's
I
just
mean, like
about everyone.
you have to really know yourself, like how much risk you were willing to take, and then like
Yeah,
also it's not only just making a business, right? When you having a business, you have employees. That means that you are responsible for people and their families, and that's also a
yeah.
very heavy responsibility. If you are if you are unable to deal with that heavyweight responsibility, then you shouldn't do it. But then sorry, but then why do you consider to do it? Because like you clearly have the first experience with doing so, right? And
Yeah.
then now you decided
I
to do it
mean,
again with Saigon Siblings.
yeah, yeah. At the time, there's a lot of reasons, right? Again, not everything is solely about money. There's a lot of things, beyond that. And you have to look at your resources, and that's why, to be frank with you, I had to cut back, or I had to really reflect as a team. Like, we couldn't keep expanding, and we had a lot of hiccups along the way, and we need to acknowledge our position in the market. And it's an enjoyable experience, and I hope we can just, at least do better. We need to do better than we currently are. And it's why did we get into it? It's a very meaningful project. You're sitting in what used to be my grandfather's house. That was a big
Mhm.
reason I wanted to convert that into something lively, into something meaningful. And we happened to, at the time, Airbnb was doing very well, homestays, and that's what really I wanted to focus on. And also, we happen to have that space downstairs. And my brother-in-law and sister love coffee. They're big time,
Mhm.
passionate coffee folks, and that was a big part of it. Just kind of, just kind of fall into it. And then we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to work on that. I wanted to work on something at the time. I was just itching to work again. And,
Mm-hmm.
I was, my last major experience was the bean store, which we were able, we had a lot of fun with, and we were able
Mm-hmm.
to have a return. And so I wanted to try and with another brand,
Mm-hmm.
and we did have a great start, but a lot of things happened, a lot of more competition too. So the market changed, and that's a big lesson in entrepreneurship these days. Things move fast, and you have to be really flexible. You
Mm-hmm.
got to adapt really fast.
Do
You
you
really
like
do.
the freedom of being a business owner better than to do like corporate stuff?
Yeah, I mean, now that I've done both, you have a preference for sure. I mean, the freedom is nice, right? Well, people always think like being a boss is like, okay, yeah, I'm a boss. Like, no, no, especially in F&B, you work even more, and you you spend even more time because it's like your baby. You just want
Yeah.
to spend so much time on it. You got to make sure you don't burn yourself out. But it's
They always said that like, yeah,
I
being a boss you can work anytime that you want, but that means that you have to work all the time. It's not a
yeah,
nine to
pretty
five
much.
job. Mm-hmm.
And it right, and like you were saying, I think you mentioned earlier, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. You feel you are responsible for your team. You're responsible for a lot of stuff if it goes wrong. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if it goes right too, you get no credit because that's the job of a true job. I think of a leader is a founder. Yeah, we glorify Steve Jobs and all these other people, but for many small businesses, nobody's patting me on the back, going, "Hey, good job, Tim. Good job, Tom. Like you did this, you did that." No, nobody cares. But your job
Yeah.
is to make sure everyone feels recognized,
Mm-hmm.
except
Yeah.
you. And that's the job of an entrepreneur. I think of a founder, of a leader. Your job is to make everyone else shine and make sure they feel important, special, and push them up. That's
Mm-hmm.
the servant leadership. So, and that's what leads to all that stuff around mental health for a lot of founders, entrepreneurs. It's
Mm-hmm.
tough because you're kind of at many times you're very lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lonely road to be. Have to deal with everything, and you can't really share because you don't want to be showing that you're weak, or you don't want to show everybody that's the struggle you've been.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you have to show a vision to your team. You got to remain strong no matter what. It's
Right
like
now,
going to
are
war. You can't
you
show.
staying strong for your team? How are you doing it?
I mean, I mean, my sister's been really involved now. Because I am, based most of my time out of Singapore now,
Mm-hmm.
working on other awesome projects related to saving the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we are strong. We're realistic.
Mm-hmm.
We're cautiously optimistic, like I shared with you. And
Mm-hmm.
I know the team knows that we're doing all we can. That's all you can show.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to make tougher calls, but we're doing what we can for a very small business
Mm-hmm.
to work off the resources that we have. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's just being really as authentic and open as you can be,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you can share, and be like, hey, we're gonna have to do this, and trying to get everyone all hands on deck right now to make sure we can get past this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you would, yeah, we were able to try to share it as much as possible for the staff to know what's going on, right? I think that's good though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you shouldn't hide the difficulties. Like, a lot of owners think that, oh, because you want to make sure that your staff is doing good jobs, so you don't share a lot of things behind the door for them. But I think sharing some of, like, to a certain extent, the difficulties actually are very good motivations to the team, and also to bond everybody and work harder to be motivated to get through it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, I mean yeah, exactly. That's all we can do. It's just being as positive as possible.
Hmm.
That's the best thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do you do to de-stress?
I've been running a lot
Hmm.
almost every day, just quick 5K, but that's one way. And then I think I mentioned earlier, meditate, and then again, socializing online, talking to friends. I think that's been really helpful.
Hmm.
Um,
You've been making
yeah,
your own
that
podcast,
definitely.
right? Are you still doing it?
We always laugh about that. Yeah, I made with my buddy Jiren, we have like 10 episodes. It's not really a podcast because it needs to be published, so it's an internal cast. It's like we
Just for
talk
you two to listen to.
yeah. We talk about a lot of stuff. And I think we should release some of it can be released. Some too much of it is too it's too explicit. We can't publish it.
I mean, the world needs
Yeah.
the raw and authenticity that you guys are able to
Yeah,
capture in those
yeah. I'm not,
episodes.
yeah, but we're gonna go like the whole cancel culture. I think I'll get
Hmm.
banned from everything.
You're not even a
So yeah.
well. You don't you can only get canceled if you're like a influencer. Are you saying you're an
No,
influencer?
I'm nowhere near an influencer. But I'm saying I could still get canceled, like lose my job or lose whatever, the whole business, and
That's
nobody wants
true.
to support, because I talk hella crazy stuff for fun. We're just having a lot of fun. We get together, we shoot the shit, we talk about so
Hmm.
many things. So yeah, yeah, I think that's the best. I think fitness for me, I get sick a lot. I have a pretty many people know, like I have a pre-existing condition, so I try to stay very active, stay healthy, especially during this time. But that's a way to really de-stress.
Hmm.
After this, I'm gonna go. I mean, it's beautiful weather. I'm gonna go for a run. I was doing yoga or stretching earlier because I
Okay.
have a shoulder injury from Muay Thai, but I try to stay active. I think it's really important. I think you need to be. It's not about like looking buff or like six pack. It's about being active, and I think it's very helpful for de-stressing and just to
Uh,
stay mobile, especially when you're after 30. I think
hmm.
mobility is very important,
Yeah.
with all that. And we're sitting so much now, right?
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah. I
yeah,
sit like 10, 12 hours a day because I work 8 hours and I sit down for dinner and then yeah and then I call somebody and I have to sit on my laptop again from
yeah. See,
8 a.m.
you
to
should get
12 a.m. the next
you
day.
should get one of those standing desks, the standing caddy. I have one of those. You can buy it
Uh,
for like $40 in Vietnam. It's probably like Tam Nguyen Cao,
okay.
800,000, something like
Hmm.
that. But you put it on top of your table so you can like stand and work.
Okay. Actually,
It's a very
I
cheap
never
option.
do that before. Keep like working
Oh,
standing. Like I never done that
I
before.
love
But
it.
I would.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I
Oh,
love
I
it.
actually want
So
to try it.
you should. I stand. I think it's very important to make sure you're standing like every 25 minutes. I get up a lot. You know.
Oh, that's amazing. Is that a
How long
Saigon
have we been
Siblings
chatting
product?
for?
I think
Yeah.
we've been
Oh yeah.
chatting for like I have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's pause it
Cool.
a little bit. Hold on. Okay, we're back.
Yo.
Uh, yeah, that was a very interesting chat. We're not only talking about the
Intense.
yeah intense, I would say. We're not only talk about it, but it's good, right? Because we able to talk a lot of different side of entrepreneurship, which is it's just not
Yeah.
always good and not always thing. Because people are promoting being an entrepreneur and having your own business a lot, but then
Yeah.
there's also a lot of people that try it and it's not good for them, right? So
Yeah.
would you how so your story is that you quit your job and then right you quit your job and then you start a business and then you do it like several times like that. Would you say that do you say it's worth it?
Yeah. Uh, so when I started last time, the bean store, I was still working consulting, so part time. I reduced my hours, but I still had a day job, if you will, with a with pay, monthly pay and everything. So and I bring that up because and then this most recent, the past 4 years, yeah, I left a really cushy corporate job. You hear that a lot, and then I just went right into it. I think so. Do I still, to be clear, do I recommend entrepreneurship for anyone or anyone who wants to like pack their bags or even go to a new market, like new country? Hell yeah. Like I, again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. You just got to look at your situation. But I would also recommend, though, we live in, and then especially it's very true today. We're going to see a lot of new things come out in the next few months, right? Because there's a lot of creative people right now, a lot of people looking at opportunity. And what that said is, you can still keep your daytime job, and you could probably start a business on the side, online, right? These days, everything is online. So if we're talking about in particular F&B or these brick and mortar, it will be a bit more difficult, right? If but with more and more is just moving into all these online businesses. So yeah, you can. I would recommend, what I do recommend is, if I did it again, just like when I did the bean stores, you know, you don't have to like go all in right away. You know, like the game of poker, you go all in, you go once, and boom, you're done, right? But if you go, you make some bets, and you can play the game much longer and beat out your opponents too. And so that's what I recommend, is like, you don't have to. Realistically, a lot of people can't just quit their jobs, and they shouldn't. And so you can take it step by step. Not everything has to be, again, all in. And same thing but that's why, even more, I would say now it's even easier. If you, let's say you want to start a business, but it requires you being in a different country because you want to live there, that you can still do, and you can negotiate with your employer these days, right? That's what I mean. COVID is going to change a lot. It's going to change the game. Like, we realize that people can be distributed teams, like work across the world, and maybe you can negotiate that with you've always had a dream to open, a tea house in Taipei or something, and you're based out of New York. You know what I mean? Like, and let's say you can negotiate a lot. You can get creative these days. Everything's changing because of COVID too. Maybe you can then move to Taipei, still keep part of your job, work part time, make a bit less money or something, and then you can still do what you want at a much with less risk. You know?
Mhm. Do you think
Yeah.
well, do you think due to COVID, people would, take risks more just to, live life and, you only live once because everything's so fragile now, or you think they would be more careful in general?
That's a really that's a big question. Um, Look, I
Would you
think.
would you would you be more careful, or would you, willing to, whatever? Because right now
I mean,
everything's,
I think, again, that question is very much tied to your situation, your life stage. Again, it's easy to say if you're single, you have no dependents. So
hmm
I would definitely take more risk. I wouldn't be scared. But I think if I had a wife and family to feed, and we have dual income or little income or only single income, then you got to have a different approach, right? I think
hmm
right now you're going to see both, like in anything. That's why in crisis there's opportunity, right?
hmm
You're going to see a lot of people who are going to be fearing, which is a mix of me too, myself, very concerned, very cautious. And you're going to see a lot of some people take risks. Why? Because also you got to remember, when you have nothing to lose, like, why be scared? Right now some people have nothing already, so they
hmm
might take even more risks.
hmm
So
Yeah, that's
I think,
very.
yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of exciting stuff in 2021. Meaning, whatever happens this year, you're gonna see a lot of people working in the background right now. They're probably working on a lot of. There's probably a lot of companies that are starting up at the same time, like you said, that we
hmm
don't know about yet
hmm
because of this crisis. And all of a sudden, next year, you're gonna hear about them, right? They always say, like, it comes off that success happens overnight, right? But they've been
hmm
working quietly, and whatever it is, to address whatever problems. And all of a sudden, 2021, January, February, well, all of a sudden we hear about these amazing companies with these founders, and yeah, hopefully that could even be us, or whatever
Yeah,
we're working on. That'd be really exciting. So
yeah. hmm
there's
They say that this right now is
well,
the best time to invest, right? Not only for personal investment, but that right now a lot of investment funds they also closing
yeah.
deal and work
Oh,
very actively because right now is the best time to fund startup.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why, again, if you were frugal and you were smart and you have a lot of cash right now, things are cheap, right?
hmm
Everything is going to be cheaper, much cheaper. All the businesses that have these crazy valuations, they won't. And now private equity or whoever has cash, they're going to come in and be like, they're going to buy things on a big discount,
hmm
from real estate to startups to businesses to everything you could think of.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of opportunity at the same time. There's a
hmm
ton, you know.
Yeah, and I think that,
Mhm.
yeah, like anyone that could stay calm, you know, look at the statistic, keep updated, but don't look at the news too much. Yeah, so that you won't get
Yeah.
scared. And then yeah, you just focus on
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, try to solve it, try to make it sustainable. And yeah, I
Right.
think everybody's gonna make it out from it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All right, I think that's a
Oh.
wrap for our podcast. Thank you, Antam, for
Oh.
joining this
Yeah.
episode. I think this is an excellent episode for this current time. I hope everybody, would find some interesting information about it. If you want to check out some cafe, where do they find it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have our website, SaigonSiblings.vn. We
Mm-hmm.
got, of course, the IG, the Instagram, Saigon Siblings. You can find us on there. Obviously, the Facebook too.
Uh-huh.
Our other brand right now, it's closed temporary, is Modern Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us, on Facebook as well, or if you're in Saigon, yeah, you can find us on Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
So
Saigon Siblings actually do
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of local arts collaborations,
we
right?
yeah, we work with a lot of so the thing's always been about working with a lot of supporting the local community. So we work with a lot of other small brand owners. We
Mm-hmm.
promote their work, and we consign a lot of the products at our shops at Modern Hustle and Saigon Siblings.
The background right here,
Yeah,
is that also the product
yeah,
collaborating
yeah. We
other
have some of
community?
our own products. We have some of our own products. Yes, like that really dope tote bag my sister picked, and then yeah, coffee mugs, all the cute goodies. And
Yeah.
yeah, we have although right now, it pretty much doesn't exist, but we had for the longest time our homestay as well, Sunday Studios, part of Saigon Siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I actually,
so
especially, I love the house blend, the latte. So I personally don't drink coffee at all, but I think Silent Sibling Cafe or latte is
yeah,
the only place I could drink and I could, enjoy it a lot. And then like, yeah, Kevin, a emotional friend, also loved your house blend, so he always buy a tons of them whenever he visits.
yes, yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for
Oh,
joining this episode.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a wrap.
yeah. Thanks for having me. It was fun. All right.
Okay, bye bye.